Welcome to the show, guys. Today is Friday, August 19th, 2011. This is The Edge, and I'm your guest host, Popeye from FederalJack.com, sitting in for John Stokes today. Man, it's been a crazy, crazy week, and I think today has just been like the massive breaking point of it all. You've got everything going on from the government trying to say if we don't handle climate change, aliens are going to come down and spank the crap out of us, which I'm going to get into in its own, okay? I'll probably end up doing a segment about that by itself. But in other news, I don't even want to call it news because most of it's propaganda. You have the DHS responding to their last video that they had out where they were talking about white Americans pretty much are the bad guys. You got to be careful because in the video it was all white guys with hoodies running around, getting ready to blow stuff up. And if you actually watch the video, all of these videos, the perpetrators, the actors they used, are usually Department of Homeland Security employees. You'll see this big jacked white guy with muscles and a skin-tight shirt playing the part of the terrorist. And he's got the cop walk, ex-military walk. Come on. He's a government agent, but they're casting him. Anyway, that video pissed off a lot of people. A lot of people got all, oh my God, they're casting white Americans. Well, now they made another one, a follow-up to it. Like, unapologetically, just put out another one. It's the same crap. If you see something, say something. And it's only about 35, 40 seconds long, but it's very, you never want to get involved. You always say, look the other way, but you never know. You could stop a terrorist attack. Oh, my God. So basically, you should spy on your neighbor. If you see your neighbor throw trash out the wrong way, call Department of Homeland Security. And then when you call the Homeland Security Department, what do you get? You know what you get? It's a joke. You call them up to see something. Call them right now. Call the see something, say something number and say, I'd like to see something, say something. I got some news about terrorism I'd like to report or whatever. And you know what they say? You know what they tell you? Call your local police department. We can't help you. So you have all these 800 numbers for the feds, right, that you're supposed to call and give them a tip. Oh, my God, the earth is falling. There's terrorists in my closet. Please save me. And what happens? What happens when you call that number? Bupkis. Nothing. We've done it on air. I know Alex Jones has done it on air. I know plenty of other people that have done it off air. Good friend of mine, he does a radio show on Oracle. Bob Tuscan. I recorded, I was like third party in the call, but I didn't talk. I was just doing the audio and call recording, and I was doing the production work of it. And Bob and an investigator, a journalist, called up, the two of them called up Department of Homeland Security. They called up the FBI, they called up Department of Homeland Security, and there was one other agency they called. I just don't remember who it was. And every time they called, they got bounced around. Oh, well, you have to call your local police department. And she was trying to explain that it's not an issue that's local to one area. Because when you call up these numbers, they say, oh, well, call your local police department, and then they'll route it to the proper people because maybe you're not dialing the right number. They treat you like you're a moron. Sir, where are you calling from, sir? I need to know, so I transfer I transferred to the right people. And Janet Phelan was her name, and she, the reporter, and she was trying to talk to these people and explain to them that it's a national problem. It's not something that, it's, in Des Moines, Iowa, or, Chicago. It's something that affects the entire country from coast to coast. And it was a weakness in the water supply, and she was trying to report it, and nobody wanted to talk to her. Nobody. And then she finally got through to one guy, and she gave him all the info. I mean, he sat and listened to her for like 15 minutes. She gave him all the information. She got his information. He said he was going to, report it and everything. Obviously, no one's gotten back to her, and this was a couple weeks ago. But then after we got off with him, we went on to another phone number And that was the FBI, and this is when she got jerked off royally. The operator was trying to. They were playing almost like a call screener would at like a radio station. We'd have the call screener screen the calls, and like how we screen our calls sometimes during the breaks. That if we have 15 or 20 calls backed up, we try to go through them and see who everybody is and what they want to talk about, so we know what to segue into and everything. Well, their call screeners are kind of like to redirect you to voicemails, basically. They give you they don't give you any answers. They just give you, you're lucky if you get a phone number, and the phone number you get 9 times out of 10 just goes right to voicemail when you call it. You don't even get a live human being. But after this woman argued for like 5 minutes, we got her to transfer us to an agent. And as soon as we got transferred to an agent, Janet was trying to talk to the agent. He picked up the phone. He went, hello, hello. And Janet's like, yes, hello. My name's Janet Phelan, blah, 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 blah. And she starts telling him information. And the guy goes, hello, hello. And he hangs up the phone. So could he really hear us and he was just being a dick and hung up the phone? Or was there did it just so happen that at that time, as the guy picked up the phone, there was a technical difficulty with Skype? I mean, that happens, so I can't rule the technical difficulty part out, but it just so happens that it happened at the exact time that, he picked up the phone and was talking to her. So when we got disconnected, we called the number right back, and before the person answered, I told them, I said, look, just tell them you got disconnected. Don't try to go through the whole spiel again. Tell them you got disconnected and you need to be reconnected to the agent you were just talking to. And when she called up, the same woman answered the phone and acted like she hadn't even talked to us and didn't know what she was talking about, pretty much, and blew her off. And Janet was like, well, I was told to call this number. We just called. And the woman's like, no, I'm sorry. There's no one here to answer your calls at this time. And literally 2 seconds before, we had just been on with them. And, you get disconnected, you call back, and now there's nobody at the FBI building to take your call. You'll have to call back. Really? The FBI. There's nobody there to take the call. Really? So this is the See Something, Say Something hotline number that we called. They gave us a number for the FBI. We call the FBI, and they tell, it gets disconnected, and then the second time we get back through to them, they say, you have to call back. There's no one here to take your call. Are you kidding me? Really? So I'm to believe that there's no one at the FBI that does any investigations after 6, 7 o'clock at night. They roll up the carpeting in the building. They turn the lights off, and that's it. The Fed shut down. Federal government shuts down 6, 7 o'clock at night. I know federal offices usually close at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon because they have bankers' hours. But really? The FBI doesn't work at night? Really? Really? So there's no one manning these See Something, Say Something phone numbers at night? I guess we shouldn't let the terrorists know that, right? Because the bad guys, the oogity boogity man, if they find out, we're in trouble. They'll just wait for the feds to punch out for the day, and then they attack. Right? That's how you get around this encroaching, ever growing police state that we have going on. You just wait for the watchers to punch out at the end of the day. Really? I'm supposed to believe this, right? Stay tuned. We're going to break. We'll bring it back. Welcome back, guys. This is The Edge. I'm your guest host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. I'm sitting in for John Stokes today. Let's get right back into it. There's so much news to cover. During the break, I was going through a couple articles that I wanted to discuss because I think it's important that I get the stuff out to you guys. We have a report at FederalJack.com. We have ourselves, Veterans Today, and the Intel Hub, the 3 websites. We get exclusive content, the 3 of us, from Susan Lindauer. She's a friend of all 3 websites, and she's a contributing writer. I've interviewed Susan multiple times on their air, as have other hosts, and she's written multiple articles. I created a war crime section on the page, a Libya war crime section page on the website, rather, and specifically with information that came out from the fact-finding mission that like Webster Tarpley and Cynthia McKinney were on, and she was getting us the information. Some people have talked bad about Susan Lindauer or whatever because, you know, the government tried to lock her up, and they always cite the retarded skeptics out there, okay? And I say the retarded ones because it's good to be skeptical about things, but when you're given evidence that, you know, like glaring red arrows pointing to the thing, you know, to the same conclusion, and, you know, there's a big buzzer with the, you know, it says evidence flashing above it, and it's all pointing to the same conclusion, and you go, nah, I still don't believe it. Well, then whatever. Then you're not being a skeptic anymore, because being skeptical until you get proper info is one thing. Now you're just being a douche. There's a big difference. Okay? There's a big difference between the two. And I say that because there's this schmuck that has this wannabe website. He's a college professor. And long story short, he likes to bash, I'm doing air quotes, the alternative media, but he calls us conspiracy theorists, of course. And every week he's bashing everybody, and I'm usually featured on his little blog. And I made a video, and he responded to the video. And in the video, he said, "Oh, you know, Susan Lindauer, she's not credible just because you've interviewed her. Who are you to have any credibility?" So you're right. I'm a schmuck. I don't know nothing. And Susan Lindauer, you should just go by what you read on Wikipedia, because Wikipedia, that's a great place to source things from, because it's not like anybody can just sign in and change Wikipedia's pages. Oh, wait a minute, they can. Yeah. Get the sarcasm, people? Okay. Anyway, Susan Lindauer is a credible source. She's very credible. And she's been writing articles and stuff and submitting content to us. And it's just been incredible, the stuff that they're getting out. Because what they're getting out of Libya is stuff on the ground from the front lines, as opposed to what the mainstream media and Al Jazeera, which is run by, you know, British MI6. So you're not getting the truth out of these mainstream media networks and you know, MI6, Al Jazeera. And they're getting stuff out. And two of the newest articles, one's by Franklin Lamb and the other one is by Susan. Susan's is titled "War in Libya, NATO gunship fires on unarmed civilians in Zawiya Square." And Frank's is "Tripoli on the cusp." And both of them are showing you how NATO's committing war crimes and that they're lying through their teeth about the fact that, Tripoli is right around the corner. First of all, what they're not telling you, they love to say that Gaddafi uses human shields, okay? But that's I don't even know how to incubator babies, the Kuwait incubator babies. It's the same crap, okay? He's not using human shields. Those people, you can see them. The fact-finding mission interviewed him. Webster Tarpley talked about this already. He went on Alex Jones' show. He talked about it on his own radio show that he does. Tarpley said that he met with people in Libya, and they told him, families, that they figure that there's going to be an invasion by NATO forces, land invasion, and the civilians are already planning on it, and that they're trying to figure out how many soldiers that they could each take out with them before the whole family gets wiped out, and they're loaded for bear. They're not playing around. And these are the people that will once, NATO goes in and they slaughter all these innocent people, they'll say that, well, Gaddafi was using them as human shields. Every one of them. They've all got guns in their hand, but they were forced to do it. Gaddafi said, stand there with that gun or I will kill you. Does that make sense? Stand there with that gun or I will kill you. Why wouldn't you just turn around and shoot him? Well, you've just, if that's how he was, he was this tyrant that fit into this box the way they try to do with labels, why couldn't one of his guys just turn around and cap him and call it a day? Well, Gaddafi's dead. You kill him, now you don't have to worry about retribution from what? If that's the case and, everything was justified, but it's not. And they know that. He gave out something like 1 million AK-47s to the citizens of Tripoli. They've got RPGs. hand grenades, RPK machine guns. You really, really think that it'd be a cakewalk? No. You'd have urban combat, just like we did in Iraq, and just like in Iraq, you'll be shooting civilians. They're insurgents, Popeye. They're trying to kill our troops. First of all, let's get something straight, okay? I'm not about killing and shooting our troops. I'm a veteran of 2 wars, okay? I have many friends that didn't come back from Iraq and Afghanistan, okay? It's really, trust me, I understand it from the veteran side. But from the other side, how would you feel if you lived in a country, but we'll use this example. How would you feel if the Chinese invaded us 10 years ago or 8 years ago, whatever it's been? And, 8 years on, they're still sitting in the country, and they're shooting people, and they're raping your women, and they're causing all sorts of havoc. What would you do? Would you sit around with your thumb up your butt? Or would you actually maybe, I don't know, fight back? Well, that's what these insurgents were doing. They had videos. One video, it's really hard to find now, but it's from 2005, one of these insurgent groups, and they came out, they were talking about the New World Order. They were talking about, right in the video, it says, we know that most of the people in your country don't know what's going on, because of your media coverage and everything. I mean, the guy was going on for like 20 minutes about the New World Order and what they're doing. My jaw hit the floor. But when you would see these videos, if they splashed it on TV here, it would always have some Arabic, voice in the background, and some guy shaking his finger, reading from a piece of paper with a rag on his head. Blah 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 blah, and they would tell you what the translation was. But there was a lot of ones that came out in English that didn't let you see. That's why they went after all these websites that had all these videos on them. Oh, it's terrorist propaganda. No, they didn't want you to see what the real videos were saying. And I'm not saying that all those guys were good and everything, but when you research what's going on, what happened in Iraq, we're backing the same scumbags in Libya. These same people that pulled off all those beheadings and everything else, of course, they were trained by the CIA. You should go check that out. Daniel Pearl, CIA had a hand in his beheading. Go check it out. We're going to break. We'll be right back. I was reading this article during the break about, I posted it yesterday, but I was just going over because it's packed full of scientific terminology. So in order to look at the article, you have to kind of read it 2 or 3 times because there's a lot of stuff in there. You're like, what the hell did they just say? And I'm a pretty smart guy. But it's like reading a contract, in lawyer speak, same thing. Anyway, the title is Scientists Discover Arctic Temperature Dataset Seriously Flawed. Significant fabricated warming is the result. You can see it right on federaljack.com. And it's a peer-reviewed, this peer-reviewed study. These scientists got together and they looked over these peer-reviewed studies of climate change and warming and everything, and they realized that the data set is flawed to the point where the results that they're getting are completely inaccurate, and that the warming readings that they're getting on global warming and everything are just completely fabricated and false. They're not right. So yeah, if maybe some scientists really do believe that the outcome is what it is, but if they sat and really went over the data set, they would realize that it's off and incorrect. Which if you start with a bad foundation, the house is not going to be sturdy to begin with. Okay, so that's pretty much what happened. And of course, no one cares. The elites, anyway. Global warming is real, and if you're a global warming denier, you're a terrorist. I mean, they've come out with everything. You're racist if you don't believe in global warming. Well, now apparently, according to NASA and all these government heads that got together and figured out what would happen in an alien invasion, apparently the aliens are going to be pissed at us because of global warming. Now, that is such a propaganda lie and such horse crap to the nth degree that it's not even funny. I mean, for real. Think about that for a second. Why would aliens have any business telling us what to do with our planet, first of all? Why? What we do on this planet is not going to affect their planet. We don't have interstellar travel. We don't have space fleet and the USS Enterprise and all this. Really? We're like monkeys in cages flinging crap at each other in the zoo to other entities out in space or whatever you want to call them. Life on other planets. We act like we're the top of the food chain in the universe. NASA always comes out. The only evidence of life we've ever found is these protozoa, or this amoeba. Or really, I'm supposed to believe that? Okay, right. We're it. If I've said this 100 times, if man was the top of the food chain in all of the universes out there and all the infinite possibilities out there, if we are the top of the chain, whatever creative force made us was high that day. Must have been the same day that it created the platypus. And I'll take a duck and a beaver and put it together. Oh, let's make man. Same thing. There's no way we're the top of the food chain. But as I've said, previously, in fact, on my show Wednesday, I said this. I covered the false, fake alien invasion, and they have a plan. It's called Project Bluebeam, and it's to bring about a one world government because everybody in the world would unite. Oh my God, the aliens are coming! Ah! Run! I mean, really, it's a joke. I mean, it's not a joke. I mean. You know what I mean? It's not. They're not playing a joke. They're a joke for trying to pull this off. I mean, come on. Do I think aliens are real? Yeah. Do I think they're gonna invade? No. I think they came here thousands of years ago already. All the old Sumerian texts and tablets and all the cave drawings and the legends of the Hopi Indians and the Mayans and the Aztecs and everything else all over the world. I think something happened thousands of years ago. Do I know exactly what? No. I kind of have an idea. At least I think I do. And that's formulated from years and years of research. Does that mean I don't believe in a creative force? No, I believe in a creative force. I just don't know what it is. I don't pretend that it's some old man sitting on a chair with some stone tablets, or Buddha, or Allah, or anybody else. But I'm digressing here. Do I think that aliens are going to come and try to save us from ourselves with global warming? No. Why the hell would they come to this planet and try to stop global warming? Well, they don't want you to screw the planet. Well, what are they, the universal police? What are they, like the universe's version of the United States now? So, they're going to come over and, in their eyes, we're like some third world country. And they're going to come and the aliens are going to invade us because we're causing global warming on the planet. I mean, does that even make any sense to you people? I know it doesn't make sense to me. Does anybody remember when Bin Laden, a couple of years ago, I think it was a year and a half, 2 years ago, I'll have to find the article on Federal Jack and try to post it during the show. He just Google or go to Federal Jack and type in the search browser Bin Laden discusses global warming, or just type in Bin Laden and then, apostrophe global warming, and it should pop up. He threatened, attacks if the country didn't, pass global warming legislation. And this came out right at the time that they were pushing the whole cap and trade thing and everything else. I'm not kidding. I showed this to this article to one of the people that works at the website at Orion, OrionTalkRadio.com, and when I showed it to her, she nearly fell over. And this was right after the whole, probably about a month after the whole Bin Laden death thing hoax, where we got him. he came out in like 2009 or 2010 it was, and he was like, yeah, you guys should pass, the U.S. should pass global warming, blah, blah, blah. You guys are hurting the planet. But so all of a sudden, bin Laden, in the midst of waging this grand holy war from a cave and with his laptop, he is now raining down hell upon the United States of America because we are global warming deniers and we caused global warming. Really? Really? And that didn't work, so bin Laden didn't work, so now you have the aliens? Just like Carol said, first it was the aliens, and then first it was the Russians, and then it was the terrorists, and then it was rogue states, and then it was asteroids, and then it was aliens. I'm going to find that clip and try to play the audio clip for you guys later today. I'll find it during one of the breaks. It's amazing. Amazing that what these people are trying to pull off. And it's even more amazing that the general populace, there's still probably, I would say, at least 50% that would buy it. There's a lot of people. There's a lot more people that are awake now, but so many people believe that aliens exist. It's like 85 or 90% of the population of the country, believes that aliens are real. And the world is pretty much the same way. So if something did show up, some people would be very receptive to it, blah, blah, blah. Just like you see in the movies, welcome. They're up on the roofs of the buildings. Welcome, take me to your leader. You'll have morons like that. And those are the same idiots that'll fall for this Project Bluebeam crap, which also involves, not only is it a fake alien invasion, but it also involves projecting images of whatever savior happens to be the top ranking religious savior in that area of the world. So if it's the Middle East, it would be Allah. United States, it would be, North America and South America, it would be probably, well, up here it'd probably be Jesus. South America would probably be like Guadalupe, Mother Teresa, because they're very heavily Catholic. Things like that. Okay, you get the picture. Israel, they would have whatever, dragon with 6 heads come out and talk to its people. No, I'm only kidding. I don't know, whatever they would, whatever their image for their people is, and maybe they'll put up King David. Who the hell knows? But every area it would be different, and they're going to use holographic technology, which people, Popeye, you're crazy. That kind of stuff doesn't exist. Really, we don't. It's 2011. We don't have that kind of technology. In the past 100 years, we've jumped like 500 years in technological advancements. 100 years ago, more than half the country was using horses and horse-drawn carriages to get around still. Yeah, there were cars, but there were a lot of people that couldn't afford them. It wasn't like it is today. Nobody had cars back then, only the rich and people that could afford them. Last segment, I was going off on the global warming lie of the aliens coming down and telling us that we're being bad for the universe. I'll wrap it up with, think about this. Why the hell would the aliens come down to Earth and tell us that we're going to, if we don't knock it off, they're going to destroy us because we're putting out too much carbon? And Mike Rivero over at whatreallyhappened.com pointed this out very eloquently today, that this is pretty much this whole line that they're giving with the aliens coming down and yelling at us about, our carbon and everything else. If you go watch the Keanu Reeves remake of the Day the Earth Stood Still, that's like the overtone of the movie of what they're saying. Like, we screwed with the planet too much, we're bad, so they're going to get rid of us because we're bad for the planet. So they're pushing the idea that humanity, and when I say they, I mean the elites that fund these movies, because movies are all propaganda and mind control. So they're funding this crap and pushing this idea that humans are a parasite that needs to be removed from the planet. Who thinks like that? Let me think for a second. Oh, Prince Philip, the Queen of England's husband. Yeah. What did he say again? Oh, that's right. If reincarnation. He was talking about reincarnation. And he said if he could come back, he would like to. If he could be reincarnated, he would like to come back as a deadly virus that would wipe out mankind. And that's not exact word for word. You'd have to, you can go look it up. Just look up Prince Philip and his quote on, Prince Philip wants to be a virus or something. Just type that into Google. I'm sure it'll come up on a webpage somewhere. And he said, I want to come back as a virus and take out mankind. And this guy is a scumbag. He's a, if David Icke is right and there are and these other people are right and there's reptilians, he's definitely one of them. He is an evil bastard. Him and his evil wife. Why do we still have kings and queens in 2011? And why do the British... Oh, you're so stupid. Even Canadians. I know. That's the Queen. You can't talk bad about the Queen. Are you kidding me? Hello, 2011. Why do you need a queen? Why do you need to be told what to do by some royal who has a personal butt wiper? And if you think I'm kidding, I'm not. They actually have people that wipe their butts for them. They don't do it themselves. Disgusting. It's one job I wouldn't want. Talk about a crappy job. Boom. All right. Speaking of the UK riots. Now, I did a show on this when they first started to happen. It's about 3 days after they happened. I covered it. And I waited because, as always, when there's a big news event like this, yes, I always cover it on Federal Jack and my YouTube channels, and I'll discuss it on the air. But I won't, jump to judgment on things. I try to give it 48 to 72 hours because I like to observe and see what's going on. Because a lot of times, especially when there's things going on that are big and attention-grabbing like the UK riots, things aren't always as they seem. So it's always good to just kind of sit back and analyze the situation for a bit. And like I said on my show, I think they're going to use the UK riots as an excuse to bring about a police state. So you'll know if I'm accurate when they start bringing out all these draconian laws and threaten to shut the internet down and everything else. And if they don't do it, then I was wrong. Well, I was proved right because now they want to pass legislation that they can shut down Twitter and Facebook if there's further unrest or anything in the future, which that's further unrest equates when people really get pissed off because of the austerity measures and everything else and they start protesting. They're going to look at a protest and say the protest is going to turn violent. We need to shut Facebook down. And even if they don't say that it'll turn violent, they'll make it turn violent with agent provocateurs, which they've been caught hundreds of times. Next week, I'm going to have on my show on Wednesday, I'm going to have a guy named Dan Dix from Press for Truth in Canada. He knows all about agent provocateurs. He's got a great movie called G20 Into the Fire, but the G20 in Canada. Watch it. Just go on YouTube and type in G20 Into the Fire full length, and it'll pop up. You'll see his channel, Weaving Spider. All one word is the name of his channel, Weaving Spider. His film is excellent. It'll give you an anxiety attack. I'll post it in the chat for the people in the chat room. I'll find it. But you'll have an anxiety attack watching this movie because it's all shot with real camcorder footage. Some of it was Dan, but I would say probably 60% of it is Dan's footage, 70% of it is his footage, and then like the other 30 to 40% is footage he got from other people. And at the end of the film, he lists everybody whose footage he used, and it's just a laundry list of names. It's huge. And you can see how fast people's civil liberties were violated. And they did the same thing over there. People were protesting, and then when things started to get out of hand, the cops weren't around. They didn't do anything. They backed off. They were lighting cars on fire and everything. And then the police came down heavy-handed. And anybody and everybody, they scooped up people that weren't involved. They were just walking down the street. They got tased, beaten, and arrested for being a rioter. They weren't even involved. Cops didn't care. No discernment. No, I'm going to walk, no policing. I mean, that's not even doing your friggin' job. That's just walking down and hitting somebody with a baton. They didn't care. They didn't care. It was amazing how fast people's civil liberties were violated in Canada. And I've said before, Canadians always pride themselves on being not so John Wayne-ish as the United States. Oh, you Americans, you guys are very John Wayne. I've had Canadians say, "Oh, we're embarrassed to have you as our neighbor." And there's a lot of good Canadians, so I'm not bashing Canadians either. I have a lot of Canadian listeners, and I have a lot of friends that are in Canada. Canadians are good people, but they hold themselves to a higher standard. And it was amazing to see how fast that standard was dropped and civil liberties were just trampled on. And their cops made the same excuses that our cops do. I'm following orders. I was doing what I was told. You know, the Nazis said the same thing at the Nuremberg trials, and that didn't hold too much weight there either. And I know that many people have used that reference before, but it's the truth. So if something's the truth and it works, I guess sometimes it's good to, repeat it until maybe people get the idea in their head. There's no reason, no excuse to violate someone's rights. There's no excuse and no reason to beat somebody mercilessly. Well, Popeye, you're not a cop. You're not out there in the front lines. No, I was. I was in the military, and I was a firefighter for 6 years. Okay, so I've seen, protests. I've seen people freak out. I've seen drunk people at accidents, they're covered in blood. They get out of the car, and they're swinging because they're drunk, and they don't know what's going on. Okay, I've seen people all jacked up on drugs and PCP. I've seen a lot of stuff, okay? I've had to draw a weapon on somebody before, so I know. I know what happens. I used to run a tattoo shop for a couple years. In the area that I ran a tattoo shop in, it was the worst area in all of South Beach. And you could say, well, South Beach can't be bad, but there's a lot of whacked out crackheads and shootings and, knifings and everything else. I've seen a lot. Trust me. Okay? Just take my word for it. Anyway, getting back to the riots. This is done on purpose. It's done to clamp down on the internet, okay? And you can see that was the outcome because they're going after people with draconian sentences for putting up Facebook pages about the riots. They didn't even, and there's not even any evidence that the Facebook page caused any riots or any problems at all. It was just a Facebook page made about the riots. And this guy, there's two guys, 4 years in jail. The UK prison population just went up by over 700 people in the past week. Their prisons are getting overcrowded because they don't know what to do. We're going to break up right back. Welcome back to The Edge. I'm your guest host, Popeye from FederalJack.com, sitting in for John Stokes. This is the second hour of the Friday edition of The Edge, and I'm joined by my good friend and fellow radio show host, Jay Jink. Jay Jink, how the hell are you today, my friend?
I'm rocking, dude. That's Super J to you, dude. Super J. I figured if we're going to send a show down into the tank, we might as well do it together. No, just kidding.
How you been?
I've been all right. It's been a rough week for me, but you know what, man? Some days you're the windshield, some days you're the bug. As long as you know that one day you're going to be the windshield, man, I guess being a bug ain't so bad once in a while. So today I feel good, man.
You've been paying attention to all the weird, crazy news that's going on?
What, the alien news?
Oh, you got to be careful. The aliens are going to come yell at us because we're causing global warming and because the cows are farting. So
look, that is so ludicrous, is it not? I mean, come on, man. First of all, my view of it is like this.
I'm sorry, I can't help but get this picture of the aliens coming down here and scolding us like children.
Yeah. You guys are destroying your planet. I mean, this planet's only habitable to us. There's so many other planets. If you had the ability to just travel through solar systems and across deep space. Why would you go to an already, unless they were just here, you know, like we would go to the zoo or something to watch the animals. I mean, why would you go to mine, you know, a planet that's already got, or, you know, that's already populated when there's thousands, hundreds and thousands of asteroids and other such objects running around that are totally uninhabited, you know what I mean?
Well, Michio Kaku brought that up when he was on MSNBC. Yeah, Mr. Theoretical Physicist. When he was on MSNBC hyping the alien invasion, he brought that up. And he even said to the guy, the, you know, talking head, whatever moron he was talking to, he said to him, you know, in all reality, if aliens came here, they probably wouldn't be hostile because, I mean, why would you come to a planet for its resources where it's filled with these, you know, inhabitants that are, compared to you, primitive, you know, and are going to, you know, put up a fight and you're going to have to get rid of them when there's plenty of other planets out there that are filled with minerals just like the Earth that don't have any life on them.
Exactly, dude.
Wouldn't it be easier to, well, let's not deal with those crazy humans. We don't have to deal with them right now. We'll go over to this planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Don't even mess with a planet with, why even mess with a planet with any kind of living creatures on it at all unless it was for somehow you use them for food. But other than that, I couldn't see it. Now, well,
that's actually a good
time
point.
Travel. What if our aliens really are not alien? They're
the whole
from
food
this
thing
planet
is
all along.
The food part is the food thing is really a really important point. It's good that you say that. You know why? You ever notice what they always show in every movie about alien invasions?
Being munched, but you never see
9 times out of 10 we're the food.
Right? I'd
You
probably eat your arm if you breaded it and deep fried it, dude. I don't know. Sorry.
Well, hey, you know, there is cannibalism. I mean, the guys in that movie.
Yeah, you're right. It's always about us being food. Even zombies, they're always eating us.
It's the end of the world scenario. It's the fear. Be afraid, JJ. I want you to be afraid. I want you and your family to be afraid, so it's much easier to control you.
Absolutely. Oh, and you'll notice for the last 5 months, if you watched any of the Nat Geo, Discovery, or History Channel, it's all alien invasion, ancient aliens, this and that. And so for the next 2 weeks, we'll be watching 9/11 footage. George Bush's.
George Bush is a traitor. He should
almost have an interview was coming up.
He should be locked up for treason. He should be locked up. He should
be tried for treason. That's for sure.
You know, because Mr. My Pet Goat and the other underwear stain that we have as a president, you know, we have two useless pieces of crap. One is a former president, and the other one has the current president. And because these two warmongering dirtbags are going to ground zero, they're excluding the first responders. There's not going to be enough room, and you know, security reasons, JJ.
Yeah.
Security reasons. Wait. Why would you not include the guys that ran into the buildings while they were blowing up and coming down? Oh, because they're sick and dying, and you're afraid one of them might call Obama or Bush out and say something to them?
Because they're pathetic cattle to them. We're like rats. We're vermin. You know what I mean?
I mean, is anybody else enraged over this? I mean, I know I know they are.
We are, but that's it, dude.
But the citizens of New York City should be pissed off. You live in New York State. You should be rallying people up there. You guys should the whole state should be behind this and be behind these first responders.
Unfortunately, I couldn't find 10 or 15 people that would want to do it with me.
Of course not, because they're too busy and too worried about their own life. It might affect me. I might actually get some attention drawn to me.
That's why I say there are not millions and millions of truthers out there in America like some people would have you believe.
Well, no,
I go all over this country looking for them, and I find a couple here and a couple there.
They are out there. They just don't come out in droves and openly say it. Because I've met a lot of people that I would never have thought are awake, and they are. But they're intimidated, JJ. They're, you know, some of them are because they're, you know, they've talked to their family, and you know, I'm sure you got at least one family member that thinks you're crazy because you.
All of my family thinks I'm crazy.
There you go. See,
My wife's family doesn't, but my family, all to a man, all.
That's probably the hardest group to wake up.
Is your own family?
Yeah, I find it easier to wake up strangers than I do people I know, and that's because people take like their their personal experiences and stuff with you. Like, say your
whole life's a gut feeling, you know.
Well, say you're like a happy-go-lucky jokester type of guy, and then all of a sudden you start telling people, man, this is crazy. Look at this information I found. People are going to look at you and be like, well, this guy's always telling jokes. Maybe he's just a little kooky. You know what I mean? They don't bother to take the information and go check it out themselves, which is dumb.
Yeah, I find it easier to not try. I find it easier to not try to wake people up, to just whatever. I just spew the truth. I don't care. And I tell them, look, don't just sit there and call me an idiot. Look it up and prove I'm an idiot. Nobody really does. Nobody can do research and call us idiots and prove it. So you know what? It doesn't bother me. And I happen to know that things can't change by tomorrow morning. So I don't get all caught up in the whole, is he awake? Am I waking him up? Or, you just spread your message. You spread your message. You spread your message. And the people that get it. But you're right. I mean, I do get it, too. There are a lot of people out there that, they know. But you know what? Out of convenience for life, you might have, you know what I'm saying? Everybody can't just go out and start going to rallies. Everybody can't, go out and just start doing things. A lot of people get like 2 hours a day where they're not either sleeping or working just to survive.
Yeah. Well, and that's the way it's done on, the system is set up that way.
Sure, you go to school.
So busy.
You're weeded out. You're pointed in the direction of your sector of expertise, whatever it is. Mine happened to Penn State School. They're like, this guy, good for nothing. Get him out of here. And then, the button pushers go one way, the lever pullers go the other. And then there you are, stuck in life.
Well, and, they purposely keep you too busy, dude. Think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're too busy worried about whether the bank is going to come take your house, so you're busy being a slave to your job, so you can pay the bank. And you're too busy worried about paying your bills and then getting your kids to school and making sure they brush their teeth and this and that. Most people don't have time to.
Right.
And
there wouldn't even have to be an alien invasion, would there? Popeye, they could just say there was an alien invasion and show you some HDCG, and you'd believe it.
That's what they're going to do. That's what Blue Beam is. They're going to project some holographic images. And remember, in 2008, in the election, CNN broadcast one of its people in its studio in full 3D, 360-degree hologram. We're going to break. We'll be right back. Go check it out. 2008 CNN 3D projection hologram. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. This is The Edge. I'm your guest host, Popeye, from FederalJack.com, sitting in for John Stokes today. In the second hour, I'm hanging out with my good friend, Jay Jink, who's got his own radio show here on the network on Sundays from 3 to 5 Eastern Standard and from 8 to 10 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays Eastern Standard Time here on the Orion Talk Radio Network. And you can check it out at oriontalkradio.com. JJ, what do you normally cover on your daytime shows? Same stuff
I talk
you
about
cover this week?
Well, more people listen on Sunday afternoon, so I try to do my guest scheduling for Sunday, and then my Tuesday and Thursday show are sort of just organically grown from about 7 a.m. before the show starts to. And I cover a wide variety, a wide range of things. Sometimes I take callers, but mostly it's definitely not news. I talk about interesting things. I grab a few articles off the internet. I talk about, things that I feel are important. And it isn't always what's in the news that day. I try to be entertaining. And, during the weekday, I keep it light. I don't get too... It's the same as usual, man. Some days you feel
that's your style. That's your flow. Yeah.
Some days you want to rock and roll, and some days, you want to be a little bit country, And So that's what I try to do. The more people that start listening during the weekday, as more people start knowing, listening to the show, I'll start bringing on guests during the weekday. But I just don't want to bring somebody on and, nobody knows I'm even on the air yet. So, a couple of weeks or a couple of months, more people will be listening. I'll start having guests during the week. But for the most part, during the week, it's just me, talking. Reading. It might take me a whole hour to read one article. You know how it is. I'll read about a paragraph of an article and just have to set it down and go, oh, come on. So it's really just, it's kind of a lot like John's show, only I'm a lot different. It's a talk radio show. That's what it is.
Oh, good. I hope the listeners I hope that was a tantalizing, intriguing little tidbit on your show, because they should listen to it. I like JJ's show. I hang out with him on Sundays, and I co-host with him and chill with him on Sundays. And it's his show's very it's like hanging out with your friends, having a beer or a cigarette and discussing or coffee and discussing the topics
smack
of the day. Yeah. And just, outright calling people out when they say stupid things like, the aliens are going to come get us because of, global warming. Al Gore
did you cover the article that you have posted on about
the global warming?
Oh, about the Pentagon cutting pensions.
Oh no, I haven't even gotten into that.
Okay,
that
we'll save
I
that
want
for
to
the
get
end
into
of the
that
show.
too. Yeah, that I'm going to get into. In fact, let me play that. That's a good point. I want to cover that.
Man. People think it's so crazy, but it's
let
coming.
me play this clip from Carol Rosin, and then we'll get in. We'll talk about the veterans, because I want to talk about Leon Jesuit Panetta, a piece of crap. Him and Hillary, evil reptile Clinton. All right, this is the clip I was talking about yesterday on yesterday's show, and I talked about it earlier. I said, and I'm not sure if her last name is Rosen or Rosin. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, so I'll just say both. That way I don't get emails later saying, Popeye, you pronounced it wrong. Because there's always that one person out there. So she came out. She came out in the late 90s into 2000. And this interview was shot before 2001. The audio I'm going to play for you. It's about 2.5 minutes. And this was shot before September 11th. So keep that in mind. Here you go. Dr. Cal Rosen talking about how she knew Wernher von Braun, and what Wernher von Braun, the former first head of NASA and Nazi rocket scientist, okay, he was responsible for building the V1 and V2 buzz bombs. This is what he told her. I don't know if you guys can hear that, because I don't think it's... No,
it's not playing through.
Yeah, it once in a while it does that. Let me restart the clip up for you. While I'm doing this, I specifically went and hunted this clip down because she talks about how von Braun told her that this was what they were going to do. And it was all to weaponize space. It was all in an effort specifically to weaponize space, and that by the time anybody realized what was going on, it would be too late.
Do you notice the new movie coming out, Apollo 18?
Yeah, and what is it about? These old moon missions, and they find a Russian cosmonaut and aliens and all this other crap.
Yeah. And you know what? Regardless of what you believe, I guarantee you one thing. They lied to us about 9/11. They lied to us all about the space program. I'm not saying we didn't go to the moon, but I guarantee we know maybe 1/10 of the true story of whatever it is.
Without a doubt, we only know a slight bit. And I'm
not really going to go into it, but
well, I'm not stupid enough to think that they're going to tell us what's going on, and that they're going to be like, well, this is what we were doing. Yeah, I don't really believe that they would be straight up and forward with us like that. I think that I know that they think we're too stupid to handle anything like that. So let me see. I'm going to try this again. Let me see if I can.
Or they just do whatever they want, and they could care less.
Well, they do that too,
because they don't represent us. They represent themselves. They are an entity unto themselves. This creature called state, the state.
That's the
this
hubris.
Upper class.
That's the amount of hubris they have. Let me see if I can get this clip to play again. Hold on.
So what if a bunch of us die?
Yeah, for some reason I can't get the I'll work on it during the next break. So I'll come back to this. Anyway, switching gears, like JJ was talking about, Panetta came out yesterday and said that remember, the day before, yesterday I was talking about how he had discussed that Social Security cuts, Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare should be cut before defense spending. So they don't want to stop spending any money on all these wars. In fact, they want to do more. Or else the oogity boogity man, the terrorists, are going to get us. And yet,
right.
Now they come out yesterday, and what did they say?
This is about the United States.
Yeah, this is about the United States of America. We need to cut veterans' pensions. So now, what they're going to do is, for people to understand what they're talking about, is when you're in the military for 20 years, you get a pension and you retire. If you put 20 years in the military, you can retire and you get a pension. Now, you don't get your full salary that you retired at. I think you get, I think it was something like 70 or 75%, somewhere around there. I might, maybe even, I'll say at the highest, I'll say is 80, because that's about the highest I give you. But you get like between 70 and 80% of what you were making on a yearly basis for a pension for the rest of your life, and you can retire. Now, 20 years in the military, that's, I personally, I know from my own experience, 20 years in the military, that's a long time, okay? 20 years in any job is a long time. So that's it. That's their retirement plan. Okay, they put their time in. And now the federal government wants to take that away and make it like a 401k. So yeah, if you're in less time now, you'll have some sort of retirement benefits, which the guys that are in for like 10 years, they don't get any retirement benefits. So with a 401k plan, they would. But the guys that are
volatile.
The guys that are in for 20 years are going to get screwed. And you know that they rip off 401k plans anyway.
Well, 401k, if the stock market goes down, they steal all your money.
Yep.
That means they invest it where they want.
Oh, welcome back, guys. This is The Edge. I'm your guest host, Popeye from FederalJack.com, and I'm hanging out with my good friend, Jay Jink. And during the break, we seem to have worked out the technical difficulties we had with this clip, so I'm going to cross my fingers and try to play this for you guys again.
We worked hard on it.
Yes, this is Dr. Carol Rosen, again, or Rosen. I'm probably saying her last name wrong, but this is her discussing what Werner von Braun told her, and what she was. And this is back in the 70s. She was told this. Remember, this is like 77. She says about the time it's like 77. She says in the beginning of the clip. Check it out.
I met the late Dr. Werner von Braun in early 74. At that time, von Braun was dying of cancer, but he assured me that he would live a few more years in order to tell me about the game that was being played, that game being the effort to weaponize space, to control the Earth from space and space itself. Von Braun's purpose in life during the last years of his life, his dying years, was to educate the public and decision makers about why space-based weapons are a dumb, dangerous, destabilizing, too costly, unnecessary, unworkable, undesirable idea. The strategy that Werner von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in 74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now, at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids, against asteroids, we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie. He didn't mention a timeline, but he said that it was going to be speeding up faster than anybody could possibly imagine. That the effort to put weapons in space was not only based on a lie, but would accelerate past the point of people even understanding it until it was already up there and too late.
There you go. There you go. Right from the horse's mouth. Everything will happen at a fast pace, and before anybody really knows what's going on, it'll be too late.
I mean, hey, haven't you seen Star Wars? Don't you see what happens when you give all the power to one person? In the Congress, it's the same thing. Look, they're gonna create this big massive global crisis where we're all gonna have to pull together. But what it really means is the entire world is gonna sort of swear fealty to or allegiance to one world NATO type UN government, because of a world threat to all of quote humanity.
Yeah, it's
manatee. I think
lie ever.
Key word there, dude.
Biggest lie ever.
Yeah.
And I've been.
You really think that they're out there trying to prevent? If there was an asteroid hurling toward us, they wouldn't even tell us.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like everybody's like, well, they have all these underground bunkers, and yeah, they do have underground bunkers, and I guarantee you, if things were really going to happen, they would already be loading that bunker up. Well, maybe they are. You just don't. You just don't know it. No, dude. Look, I know that secrets can be kept, but I'm telling you right now, there are certain things that it's too massive that it would get noticed. And if they knew something was coming, they would be packing all their as much military power and as much of their arsenal into these caves as they could, because that's what they would want to use to clean up the mess and start over again and keep order and justice after everything hits the fan.
They didn't build them caves, them tunnels to not use them. I'm a firm believer they don't build anything they don't plan on using. They didn't build them. I don't believe. But
I think there's more going on there than just it being some some bunker. I mean, I think it could be used as that, but I think there's more. I think there's shady experiments and stuff going on in there. I mean, just look at Area 51 in Groom Lake. 20 years ago, people called you nuts if you said that Area 51 even existed. Now, it's pretty common knowledge. You say Area 51, almost any American knows what that is. Yeah. And that's a testing ground. It's where they build all these the stealth airplanes and all this other crap. So all these UFOs, I'm willing to bet 75% of the UFOs that were sighted out there were probably military aircraft.
And what if we listen? Here's the one thing that I try to think about once in a blue moon is if we're being controlled by anyone, any sort of aliens, I guarantee it's time travel from it's humans time traveling back, not aliens from another. The physics just doesn't really have, unless you travel, you have warp or some sort of scientific, science fiction propulsion unit. This deep space travel is just not as feasible. But we've proven, with physics, theoretical physics, that time travel is possible. I know it sounds crazy. I'm sort of jumped off. Or wormholes, yes, but most wormholes are in the in the tiny levels of. Now the name is slipping past me. But
I know what you mean. I mean, look, dude. As I've said about aliens and stuff, we would be arrogant and highly ignorant to think that we are the only species, and that we know all there is about science, and there is nothing else to know, and we know it all. We know this infinitesimal little sliver of knowledge and information compared to what's really going on around us, and we act like we know it all.
Well, I was asking this question this morning. I'll ask you: how long do you think? Okay, You know what The Sims are? The game, The Sims?
Yep.
Well, each year, in each version, as computers get stronger, as computing power increases and RAM increases and things like this increase, The Sims become more and more real. Now, The Sims also, this program does things while you're not there. Okay? The program keeps on running. Now, how long is it going to be before computers have the ability to process enough information fast enough where The Sims, obviously, we know they live while we're not there, right? When you're not watching the game, because when you go back, things have happened. Now, how long will it be before The Sims can be programmed to become aware of themselves and actually live in a digital world? That's not as far off and as crazy as you might think.
Actually, it's funny that you say that, because I just saw a video earlier before I came on the show, and it was about IBM is building a new computer chip. And this thing, it has the same inside each chip. It has like brain synapses, like they're little synapses that are literally modeled after like the human brain and everything.
Well,
and
they talk about building organic computers, so that means they've already been fast at work on it for years using nano.
Dude, this thing is scary, JJ.
A nano machine, which is essentially just an on-off, right?
Dude, this thing learns.
Nano, right. And when you're talking about nano, you're talking about you can make 10, it's below a nanometer, the size of these.
Dude, they make motors and complete working functional. They've made weapons and stuff and engines and everything else and power cells and fuel cells and everything. And it, that fits on the head of a pin.
Yeah.
This is nanotechnology.
This time I hear the break coming in.
It completely exists. It's real. Nanotechnology is not it's not a fallacy. It is not a fantasy.
And if they talk about the God gene, you can believe, and you better believe that they found it and found a way to use it. And that's
20 years ago.
That's where Bluebeam's going to tie in. That's where all these other things are going to tie in.
Exactly.
People are going to watch the world come tumbling down in 1080p.
Yeah, in their own eyes. We'll be right back, guys. Welcome back. This is the final segment of the Friday edition of The Edge. It's August 19th, 2011. I'm your guest host, Popeye from FederalJack.com, and I'm joined by my buddy Jay Jink, who also, again, has a show on Orion. And check out all the shows on Orion. And check out the network's website itself, OrionTalkRadio.com. They've been working hard on it, and they just put up a new thing. It's called the Global Voice Events Calendar. And
that's actually pretty neat.
Yeah, I was checking it out the other day, and I concept, I was like, we'll see. And people are already using it. Yeah. So it's cool. There's people all over the world already posting up stuff. It's a free calendar, basically, guys, for you. If you have like a We Are Change event or a protest or saw a DVD giveaway, whatever.
Movie viewing.
Yeah, anything. Screening. You want other people in the world to know about it. You can post it on our calendar for free, and then everybody all over the world can come and see it for free and get the information as to where it is, and you can put up contact info and emails and stuff. It's actually a really great idea. And
you can send people there. You can say, hey, we're having a screening. I posted all the information, over.
Yeah, go to OrionTalkRadio.com and just check out under Global Voice Events, and look under August 14th or whatever date it is, and then they look and they go, oh, okay, there's an event, cool, all right, and they write the information down. So it's like a free way of getting the information out to everybody.
It's a free way of information,
and that's given you free idea, by Jimmy X. Yes, Jimmy. Him and the our IT department, you guys heard Jules, she was on with me the other day. Her and her husband and Jimmy came up with this concept, and it's a great idea. So kudos to them, because nobody else is doing that, and I think it's a great thing. It's a tool in the info war and to help people out.
It keeps the spammers out of the chat room. That way you don't have to go spam your event. You can just go there and then send people there, and you're not...
Well, I think it's a good idea, personally.
I do too. I agree. And plus, it's just another example of how people are just trying to do things to help other people. I mean, you can't change anything by morning's light. So you just plug along. You do everything you can think of, little by little, little by little.
Right, but not doing anything isn't going to help the situation
That's
either.
true.
So
Absolutely.
you got to do something. But look, every little bit helps. It's like I've said before. You could take if you go over to a pond that's very still, you could take a very tiny stone and throw it into that pond. It maybe makes a tiny little splash.
But it travels the length of the entire pond.
Exactly. The ripple is felt all the way across the pond. So it doesn't matter if you're putting in a 10-ton boulder. Yeah, run for mayor.
Run for mayor.
City council.
Knowing you're going to lose, but you know what? You'll knock on
real
every
issues.
door.
Just inject real issues. You don't even, dude. We put up a guy. Case in point, North Miami Beach here, and I can't say we. We talked him into running. A couple people I know, and myself, talked him into running, and he ran and he won. And he's a Ron Paul guy. And this was, remember I told you the mayor that called the FBI on me and everything else?
Yeah.
Okay. My listeners know I had the feds called on me by the mayor of the city next door because we're beholden to their water supply. So I started going to city council meetings speaking about 9/11 truth and about fluoride in the water and trying to set up a screening and giving them free DVDs and stuff. And because, long story short, because I did that and because I had the balls to publish a local blogger's blog and get her worldwide attention to what was going on locally, to the issues, and I made the old crooked mayor, I made his name a Google search term. His retaliation was he got mad, so he couldn't get me because he went after this local chick with like the code enforcement guys. So when she came to me and told me what was going on, and I looked over everything and I saw what was going on, I started publishing her articles to shine a spotlight on it, which made him look really bad. And then like the Miami Herald picked it up. Radley Balco over at Reason.com wrote an article about it. I mean, when you have when you have a nationally, like someone like Radley Balco, he's busy paying attention to national politics. I'm not saying he's a god or anything, but when you gain the attention of them, the local big newspapers and stuff, now you're an idiot. Now you've obviously done something to the point where they're actually talking about you.
Yeah.
And this local blogger was talking about it, and I decided to make sure she got international spotlight on what was going on. And long story short, we got our guy in, and Myron got voted out because of his crooked practices. And now they're trying to fix everything that, this mess he made. And it's not easy. They're having their own issues.
The public relations mess. They're not trying to fix the mess.
Oh, no. They have a huge financial mess, too. The city is in dire straits right now.
It's the public relations mess. They love the
They're
mess.
talking about laying off or firing 24 cops, which they have like 130-something police here, and I don't really think they need that many police.
Especially not if they got rid of some of their laws and.
Well, they checked everything out, and the mayor and them are like, and the town manager was like, "Look, we could get rid of 24 police officers and not have a problem." And he's right, because see, the thing is, since 9/11, all these local police departments went from living within their budgets to, we need tanks and SWAT gear. We have to take on terrorists. JJ.
They want FLIR on their weather copters now. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, Miami, not North Miami or North Miami Beach or South Miami or South Beach or anything like that. There's Miami, the city itself.
Right.
And then there's Miami-Dade County where the rest of these cities sit. The city of Miami itself just bought it was the city. They bought I'm sorry. It was the county. It wasn't the city. It wasn't the city. I believe it was. I could be wrong, but I believe it was the county that bought them 2 UAVs because they're saying they could be used anywhere in Dade County. So that's why I think it was the county that bought them. 2 UAVs from Honeywell, and people are like, "Oh, well, because the news pumps it up."
Another one of those.
It was tax-free.
Companies that makes billions of dollars off of death and destruction.
But they go, "Oh, it was free. The taxpayers didn't have to pay for it, so it's tax-free. Isn't that great?" It's like you're not coming out of the taxpayers' money, but that's not true because
not right away, not until they start
Honeywell has to get paid. Honeywell gave them to Miami, but they're getting paid with federal dollars. Where do you think that money's coming from?
Taxes. That comes from
exactly.
us. So it doesn't come. It did cost the taxpayers, just not the state taxpayers, right? Is that what is that what it boils down to?
It didn't. Well, see, what it is, it's you get these local media outlets, and they do video news releases.
So rather than say, well, we've got like 400,000 laws and statutes, we really don't need them all, and we don't need to be putting people in jail for taillights and things like that. But
well, our local mayor, the city that I was talking about, is not the one. They don't have the guy we got in. They don't have the remote control drones, and they're doing the responsible thing. They have to shrink the size of the police department, and then they don't want to fire anybody or make anybody lose their job. But you know, the former administrations allowed this stuff to get out of hand, and now they have to do something about it. Okay, and that's what people.
As long as it doesn't involve getting rid of a couple of city councilmen, they won't get rid of themselves. They'll get rid of everybody else.
Well, they got rid of they got one new council member and a new mayor. So they got rid of one of the corrupt council members, and I will say that the new ones are at least trying. Look, I gotta give one of them credit. She's trying to help me get meetings with all the local civic organizations, so I can show them stuff about fluoride and 9/11. So I can wake them up.
Combination fluoride and 9/11.
Well, I've been sending her information about fluoride. That's how I got.
That was your foot in the door?
Yeah, that's how I got my foot in the door. And then, you know, I've had conversations with her, and she's like, my son has told me about 9/11, and he showed me a couple of these movies. And then because I
got them from your website.
Well, probably, but because I was older, and she would sit and listen. You know, she started to listen, and then she went back and she would have conversations with her kid about it and everything else. But she's waking up.
Awesome.
That's the good part.
Awesome.
So hopefully we'll get the fluoride out of the water. So that's how I'm trying to affect my local situation. You should do the same.
We're working on the fracking here, bud.
Situation. And yeah, you guys are working on fracking.
And
do
fluoride.
Something in your local area, grassroots level, to make the world a better place, and it will be a better place. That's how we're going to defeat these New World Order scumbags. Thanks for listening, guys. JJ, thanks for hanging out.
No problem, brother.
John should be back on Monday. Check out my show tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Down the Rabbit Hole. I've been your host, Popeye. Thanks for listening to me. It's been cool hanging out with you guys. I'm out.